Welcome. You're listening to a special episode released from one of the podcasters and experts as part of Finance Podcast Week. Join us March 26th through 28th for live stream panels and exclusive episodes from some of your favorite finance podcasters from around the world. Finance Podcast Week is brought to you by Podbean and brings you expertise and insight on podcast topics ranging from personal finance, budgeting, and real estate to cryptocurrency, investing for millennials, and more. To get the full schedule and join the live streams in real time through the Podbean app, register now at podcastweek.live/finance. That's podcastweek.live/finance. Please remember to always consult a financial advisor before making decisions about your finances. And now, enjoy the episode from our esteemed presenter.
This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom. Here is your host, Dr. Jim Dahle.
This is Milestones to Millionaire, episode number 8, $450,000 paid off in 2.5 years. You know, if you'd like to come on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast, all you have to do is apply at whitecoatinvestor.com/milestones to be a guest on the show. Whatever your recent financial accomplishment has been, we want to celebrate it with you and use it to inspire your peers and colleagues. Whether it's you've paid off student loans, gotten public service loan forgiveness, become financially independent, become a decamillionaire, whatever it is, we'd like to celebrate it with you. So apply to be a guest on the show. All right, we got a great guest on today. You're going to love this. Let's bring on Daniel. All right, our next guest on here is emergency physician Daniel Axelson. Welcome to the White Coat Investor Podcast.
Dr. Dahle, thanks so much for having me.
All right, so tell us about this. You paid off your student loans in 2020. How much did you pay off?
So between my wife and I, who are both physicians, we graduated medical school with just shy of $450,000 in medical school debt. The vast majority of that was mine. My wife did carry a small amount of medical school debt as well, but together we had just shy of $450,000 of med school debt, and we paid it off recently, and it feels amazing.
Congratulations. And how long did you take to pay it off?
I graduated in 2017, and we officially paid it all off actually just at the very, very end of 2019. So like December 2019 going into 2020. So it was about 2.5 years after I left residency that we paid it off.
Impressive. And what was your average household income over that time period?
Good question. Combined between my wife and I, it was approximately $500,000. That's between two physicians. So, undoubtedly many hands make for lighter work. So, both my wife and I being physicians helped a lot.
But it's still an impressive sum paid off in just 2.5 years. I mean, we're talking about dedicating $150,000, $200,000 a year to your student loans. $15,000 a month or so. It's no small feat.
Correct. No, and definitely, it helps, as I said, to have both my wife and I be physicians. But it's still, we sat down together when I left residency in 2017 and really made a budget. Once we had a month or so's new attending salary worth of paychecks coming in, we made a budget so we knew exactly how much we were going to have coming in every month, and compared that to what our nominal expenses were at the time. We did buy a very modest condo for the two of us when I left residency, but we really didn't have an extravagant lifestyle, certainly beyond that. So we made a budget, and we knew how much exactly was coming in every month. We knew exactly how what our monthly expenses were, and we were both on the same page. My partner, my now wife, we were both on the same page in that we really wanted to prioritize getting rid of our medical school debt. So every spare dollar that we had, once our monthly expenses were taken care of, once our retirement accounts were paid into and our monthly expenses were covered, every spare dollar went to paying back our medical school loans.
No vacations, no new cars in 2.5 years, nothing like that?
No, we got married in 2017. We took one honeymoon. We stayed in the U.S. We traveled kind of close to where my wife grew up. We did take a honeymoon, but outside of that, maybe some weekend trips here and there. We did not take any extravagant vacations. We both have been driving the same car that I've been in my car since 2007. She's been in hers since 2009.
no kitchen renovation, no wake boats, nothing like that, huh?
None of the above. I think we both just really prioritize wanting to be free of debt first.
Impressive discipline. Congratulations on that. So was it easier or harder than you thought it'd be? I mean, you guys sit down a month out of training, come up with this budget, talk yourselves into it. Did it turn out to be easier or harder than you thought it would be?
I will say when I graduated medical school and we were staring at that amount of debt, it was incredibly intimidating. Now, sitting on the other side of it, having paid it off, it was definitely easier than I thought it would be. It required discipline, no doubt. And it required, like I said, getting down and sitting down and getting on the same page with my wife and really making a plan. But once we had that plan and we really had actionable steps that, we felt like we could stick to every month, it just kind of became routine. And the 2.5 years went by, and I would say it just was a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to be looking into the debt. When I graduated medical school, I thought, oh my gosh, periods of time during medical school and residency, I thought I'm going to be in debt for years. But with making a plan and sticking to it and having some discipline, it ended up being not nearly as hard as I thought it would be.
Was there anybody that kind of gave you a hard time that said, why are you driving a 2007 and living in this dumpy little condo? You're not only a doctor, you're two doctors. Anybody give you a hard time like that? Or were all your friends and family supportive of this rather unique lifestyle decision you made?
By and large, most people were supportive. I would say you certainly just going through life, you encounter people here and there who would, make the argument, oh, you got time and, once you refinance, you got a great rate and you can make more and invest and all this kind. I mean, you certainly hear those kind of arguments, but by and large, I think people were supportive of what we were trying to do.
So how does it feel to have your student loans gone?
Every bit as good as I thought it would. I probably personally am just a little bit debt averse, just as a person. So I don't love the idea of having to owe a ton to a lot of different people. So it feels great to have those student loans gone. I mean, so much so that it really has encouraged us, just in other areas of our life now, to be mortgage debt free, and really, it's driven us to want to be just, completely debt free going forward.
Do you feel like it was a trial run to pay off the debt? Was a trial run for becoming financially independent?
That's a great question. I think while we were paying the student loans off, I don't think I thought of it that way, but now absolutely. I mean, I think, it's something we've proven to ourselves we can do with a plan, with discipline. So absolutely. At this point, I would say it absolutely was a trial run. Yeah.
So now that you paid it off, are you increasing your lifestyle in any way? What are you doing now with the, $15,000 a month that was going towards student loans? Are you just investing it all? Are you investing some and spending some? Or where are you at now?
It's a little bit of a split. So we did upgrade a house. We welcomed our first little son here this year in 2020. So we did.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. We did move into a bigger house. So we kind of took the jump into the suburbs and we did upgrade house. So that was kind of the one big thing that we did. But outside of that, now, we have a slightly larger mortgage that we pay every month. We invest the rest. And my goal is to now really pay off our current mortgage as quickly as possible. So I think that's where some of our extra money will go as well.
So what advice do you have somebody that's sitting there where you were a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, just coming out of school, totally intimidating by owing $400,000 or $500,000 in student loans, and wondering if they can do what you just did? What advice do you have for them?
The biggest piece of advice I would share is it is possible. I entered into medical school. I went through a series of probably not very financially savvy decisions. I went to a private out-of-state medical school. I ended up doing a combined dual degree program. So I spent some extra time in medical school, incurring, even extra debt. And so I left medical school, entered residency, and even I think by and large, spent a lot of time in residency, not particularly financially savvy with these kind of things. I just sort of thought to myself, the debt was sort of nebulous. So I thought, whatever, I'll pay it off at some point. So if I was able to kind of hunker down and really kind of learn about this stuff and tackle it and make a plan and get serious about paying back debt and budgeting, if I was able to do it, anyone's able to do it. And it is possible. It may involve some degree of delayed gratification. It certainly did in our case. In our case, at least 2.5 years after residency, we could have in theory been doing other things with those money. But if I can do it, it's absolutely possible.
Do you remember that day when you added it all up and found out exactly how much you owed in student loans?
Distinctly.
What was that like the first time you did that?
It honestly was mildly nauseating. I thought to myself, oh my God, this is just my debt alone. And then I knew kind of my wife was bringing in a small amount as well. I thought, particularly at that time, I know where I was sort of just in understanding finances and debt, and paying all this stuff back. It was just nauseating and intimidating. And I thought at the time, not knowing much, I'm going to just be in debt for decades, was my frame of reference. And it just took time, over the course of residency, really deciding to really try to attack and run at and learn all I could through your site, other resources, just deciding I wanted to take ownership of this situation and I didn't want to be in debt for decades. Little by little, learning and little by little, I think I was able to turn my frame of reference around and feel more confident that I was able to actually tackle the debt.
Well, Dr. Axelson, congratulations on your success. Thank you for sharing it with us to inspire the next generation of docs coming out with massive loans that they can't actually pay them off. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, that was a great episode. Impressive amount of discipline to pay off $450,000 in only 2.5 years on an income that's not that much higher than that. Yes, it's obviously easier to pay off $450,000 in student loans when you're making $500,000, but that is not that easy to do. That means well over half of your net income was going towards student loans for those 2 years. It takes a lot of discipline to do that, even on a high income. That sort of debt is pretty intimidating, right? To owe that much money. But it turned out to be easier than he thought it was going to be and felt every bit as good as he thought it would. It's interesting. People don't like stopping once they accomplish a goal like that. So I'm not surprised to see that he then turned to his mortgage as quickly as possible. At any rate, the message I want you to take from this sort of an episode is that it is possible to pay off your debt very rapidly. Okay, you do have to delay some gratification, but if you can get your income up and you can be disciplined, you can get this debt paid off in just 2 to 5 years. And then you can live the rest of your financially awesome life in a very free way. Keep your head up, shoulders back. You've got this and we can help. We'll see you later this week on the regular White Coat Investor podcast or next week on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dahle, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode as part of Finance Podcast Week. Join us March 26th through 28th for live stream panels and more exclusive episodes. To get the full schedule and join the live streams in real time through the Podbean app, register now at podcastweek.live/finance. That's podcastweek.live/finance.